Starting February the 1st, Thailand will open its borders to all countries. Terms and conditions apply. Meanwhile, Pattaya Walking Street plans to open in time for a U.S. military exercise, and a Thai tourist exposes Phuket's notorious taxi fares. All this is coming up in today's program. You're watching Thailand News Today, bringing you the top headlines in Thailand and beyond. And in our first story, Thailand's Test and Go entry scheme returns tomorrow after a short hiatus. This time, it is open to travelers from every country in the world. However, travelers will now have to take not one, not two, but 3 PCR tests in order to participate in the scheme. The first test needs to be taken 72 hours pre-departure from the home country, while the second and third are done on arrival and again on day 5. As always, those who need a visa will need to apply in advance at their nearest Thai embassy or consulate. All Thai travelers must register for a Thailand Pass, which requires proof of paid bookings at an AQ or SHA Extra Plus hotel for days 1 and 5, including prepaid PCR tests on both days. Applicants must also upload proof of being fully vaccinated with an acceptable vaccine at least 14 days before entry. Accepted vaccines include AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, Sinovac, Sinopharm, Johnson & Johnson, Sputnik V, and Covaxin. Health insurance coverage of at least $50,000 is also required. People who have recovered from COVID can enter provided they have a certificate of recovery and proof of 1 dose of a COVID vaccine. In addition to Test and Go, the Sandbox scheme will be expanded to the following destinations starting tomorrow. A Thailand Pass is also required for the Sandbox with the same criteria as Test and Go. However, the Sandbox has an additional stipulation that requires visitors to spend their first 7 nights in the same Sandbox zone before traveling elsewhere in the kingdom. They too will be subject to a PCR test on arrival and again on days 5 or 6. The Test and Go and the Sandbox schemes are currently not open to unvaccinated travelers or those vaccinated with unrecognized vaccines. These visitors will be required to spend 7 days in an alternative quarantine facility. Pattaya city officials met with more than 30 local business owners on Saturday to discuss how to reopen the famous Pattaya Walking Street ahead of a planned U.S. troops visit weeks ahead. Around 2,000 soldiers are expected to visit this month for the Cobra Gold military exercise, and it seems like Walking Street is where they plan on staging their own unofficial invasion. The discussion between Banglamung District, the Pattaya Walking Street Business Association, and Pattaya City Police comes just as Chonburi prepares to welcome an anticipated influx of visitors under the Test and Go and Sandbox schemes. The military drills are scheduled from February the 20th to March the 5th for field training and humanitarian exercises. However, it is unknown whether they will be given leave or liberty during their stay. The Banglamung District Chairman urged businesses to conduct daily ATK tests on every employee and customer and establish social distancing zones. However, the Pattaya City Police Chief also asked entertainment venues such as bars, pubs, nightclubs, and karaoke lounges to remain closed in accordance with national standards. However, he emphasized that they may apply to temporary reopening as restaurants. All attendees at the meeting agreed to ease restrictions in the future, including the legal reopening of nightlife, prolonging closing hours, permitting, quote, extras like pool and karaoke, and reducing the existing severe daily ATK testing regulations if the COVID situation is improved in the area.
Hi, Tim from the Thaiger. Sean here from 5 Star Marine. Another perfect day. Now, when we go on one of your boats, Sean, what is included in the price?
Okay, so with the boat, we're going to give you a captain crew English-speaking guide, and that's one of the most important parts of our inclusions because his job for the day is to make sure he gets you where you want to go with the least amount of people out there. On top of that, we've got everything that you need for the day: water, soft drink, fresh fruit, masks, snorkels, fins, life jackets, and most importantly, insurance as well.
Now, and there's obviously a lot of questions people are going to have. Can I do this? Can I do that? And you guys at least know the the layout of the land at the moment?
Look, in terms of flexibility, we really want to be able to give you exactly what you want. And as it comes to rules that the government sets, we're on top of that all day, every day. We have a full-time compliance officer in our business, and his job is to study these orders and translate them for us.
I dare say if we head out to some of the islands at the moment, you might get out there and have the whole island to yourself.
In fact, I got some boats out there right now, and they're messaging back saying they're the only people sitting there in Pile Lagoon and even the newly reopened Maya Bay.
Ah, yes, Maya Bay. We've been having plenty of interest about that. So Phuket is open, the Sandbox is open, there are other sandboxes open as well now. Thailand is still open if you want to or you need to come back. And if you want to go out to one of the islands, you know who to contact.
Following the leaking of thousands of liters of crude oil into the waters around the eastern province of Rayong, the cleanup of Marampung Beach has been completed. The National Resources and Environment Minister has confirmed that all the oil washed onto Maramping has been removed. He has now placed all teams on standby in the event of the oil washing ashore at Ao Prao. The beach is around 500 meters wide, and the minister says the oil must be stopped from reaching the area. The Royal Thai Navy has spotted an oil slick about 5 kilometers from Koh Samet, but officials are hopeful it will not pose a threat to the beach. Meanwhile, the Geoinformatics and Space Technology Development Agency will have satellite images of the oil slicks in the seas off Rayong transmitted to its ground station to ensure all spills are taken care of. Activists demanding justice for evicted Karenni forest dwellers have rallied in Bangkok, calling on the government to support the ethnic communities ousted from Gengrajan National Park. A procession of vehicles through the capital was led by P-Move and the Save Bangkok group. Protesters say people have been living in the Gengrajan forest well before it was officially designated as a national park in 1981. In 2010, 57 Karenni families were moved out of the park when the Thai government applied for UNESCO heritage status. At the time of their eviction, each family was promised 7 rai of fertile farmland. However, the families say the land they were given was not fertile and no crops could survive on it. As a consequence, they moved back into the forest in early 2021 and were promptly evicted by authorities. At yesterday's protest, activists called on the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment to provide acceptable land for the people to farm and to stop legal action against 30 villagers from Bangkok and 10 activists from the Save Bangkok group. Activists are also demanding the ministry form a new committee to investigate the villagers' land disputes. They also want the National Park Act amended, claiming it encroaches on the rights of forest dwellers in its current form. Furthermore, they are calling on the government to introduce a, quote, people's bill that recognizes the rights and livelihoods of ethnic minorities. If you've been to Phuket, you've probably paid way too much for a taxi. Now, one Thai traveler claims a Phuket taxi driver ripped him off by charging a fare of 600 baht and even got the police involved to sort out the situation. The Thai traveler has a large following on social media, so he recorded his confrontation with the police and the taxi driver, posting the videos on Facebook and drawing criticism on the island's notoriously high taxi fares. Many comments say they've had similar experiences. The traveler had tried to book a ride through Bolt to get back to his hotel, but he says the driver refused service because he was afraid of the taxi drivers in the area. He tried booking a Grab, but the same thing happened and the driver refused service. He and his girlfriend then decided to hail a taxi, but the driver charged them 600 baht, much higher than the 168 baht fare listed on Bolt. In the video, the man who appears to be the driver yells that the fare is 600 baht. He added that he was not scared of the police, daring the customers to call and saying he and the police are friends. After talking with the police, officers called the driver to the station. Reports say that the driver insisted that 600 baht was the standard price and that no one forced the traveler to use his service. The driver claimed that since it was late at night and the trip was quite far, although reports don't mention how far, the price at 600 baht was reasonable, he says, adding that he would increase the price with more passengers. In regional news, international flights in the Southeast Asia region continue to resume, with low-cost carriers expanding their routes as countries reopen. The Singapore Airlines subsidiary Scoot is resuming the Singapore-Ho Chi Minh route with 4 round-trip flights a week, while a twice-weekly service connecting Singapore and Hanoi is planned from February the 22nd. Under the current regulations, tourists to Vietnam are limited to government-approved tours and need to meet other requirements, such as PCR testing and quarantine. From February the 23rd, Scoot is also launching 2 flights a week between Singapore and Miri in Sarawak State in Malaysian Borneo. Miri will be the second Sarawak city served by the carrier, in addition to its flights to the state capital of Kuching. The news follows Scoot's announcement last week that it is resuming flights between Singapore and Australia's Gold Coast. Meanwhile, Thai carrier Bangkok Airways will resume twice-daily flights between Bangkok's Suvarnabhumi Airport and the Cambodian capital, Phnom Penh, from tomorrow. The outbound flight will depart Suvarnabhumi at 5:20 p.m., arriving at Phnom Penh at 6:35, while the inbound flight departs the Cambodian capital at 7:25 p.m., touching down at Suvarnabhumi at 8:40. And that's all for our report. Thailand News Today will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, you're not up to date on the Thaiger.